Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you just got to witness the Joy Elementary little choir that performed. They were so sweet. They were so good. And that, as I say, every week is the best part of the meeting, I promise you. We have established a quorum, and I will ask Dr. Sue Kessler if she'll come lead us in the pledge.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Kessler. We will start with 30 seconds in my district, and Dr. Gentry.
62 seconds.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So let me first, I want to share a letter that was sent to me from Lauren Lane. She says she'll try to keep this short, so I will too. She wants to take an opportunity to love on her school family, especially her principal leader, Marsha Taylor. She was caught in an overwhelming situation on Monday with severe congestion, which quickly became an asthma attack. Her principal noticed that she did not sound well and told her to wait and let the nurse check her out. The nurse took appropriate action to help open up her airways. All of the leadership personnel in this building sprang into action immediately to be certain I received the proper care as quickly as possible, and at the same time with discretion as not to alarm the students. After being taken to the hospital, I was admitted. My first grade team came to visit me Monday, although 2 of them were recently recovering from illnesses themselves. When I returned to work today, all teachers and staff greeted me with genuine concern. I am obligated to share this good news, as I am just happy to be safe and alive today, and this is completely due to the swift actions of the leadership at Robert Churchwell Museum Magnet Elementary School. This letter does not begin to scratch the tip of my appreciation. It is with sincere gratitude that I thank Principal Marsha Taylor for the atmosphere that she promotes in this school building. I truly feel that I am a valuable part of my work family at Churchwell. Thank you for taking the time to read this letter. That was the first one. And then I just want to share some graduation statistics from the KIPP Nashville seniors. Their soon-to-be graduates will be wearing many of the soon-to-be graduates will be wearing orange this fall with UTK, accepting 21 of them for the coming year, in addition to several seniors being accepted to Dillard, Drexel, Duke, Franklin, and Marshall, Georgetown, Howard, Johns Hopkins, Pomona, Princeton, Rice, Sewanee, Spelman, the University of Pennsylvania, Washington University, and Vanderbilt University here in Nashville. Lots of stats. I think it's a total of 65 students. Nope. 86. My math is bad, Randy, I apologize. 86 students graduating and being accepted. And even for the handful of students who chose not to go to college, the school has worked intentionally with them to secure them employment so that they have solid plans post-graduation. So thanks for everything that you do for our students, and thank you to Principal Marsha Taylor. Sorry. You know, I don't never say anything, so I have to make up.
Yes, the Overton Bobcat players, led by Gina Kelly, were invited to record the new WSMV Channel 4 promotional video track. And they were invited to come to the 6 a.m. morning show on Monday, April the 30th. And then they released their song on Facebook the following Monday. And then they were subsequently offered 2 more opportunities to perform. One was with Holly when they did the surprise squad and gave someone a car. And now they've also been invited to sing the track on the Nashville Today show. That was on May 7th. So they've done that already. And also, I thank my colleague for sharing this bit of information with me. Chelsea Nelson, a former Bobcat from Overton. She graduated in 2014, was drafted by the Women's National Basketball Association, Phoenix Mercury, and she played forward for North Carolina State and graduated recently. So congratulations. Yay, Overton.
Experience.
Thank you, Annie Shepherd. Brian Biderman is not only an educator, but also the director of a nonprofit called Little Stone Group. And he will offer a transformative 2-week summer enrichment program for students. And he'll be offering up to 5 partial scholarships of $50 each to bring the price of the summer camps down to $150. The camps will be educators from world-class educators and professors will conduct the camps, and offerings will include Japanese, robotics, visual arts, dance, engineering and design, creative writing, public speaking, and even more, if you can imagine that. Scholarships will be offered at Dan Mills, Isaac Litton, Inglewood Elementary, East Middle, IT Crestwell, Laughlin, McGavick, and East End Prep, and St. Joseph. So for more information, you can talk to your school principal. Thank you.
Ms. Heller?
Thank you. Yes, we have 3 new principals in the Antioch-Cane Ridge District. On May 16th, Antioch High School will introduce their new principal from 5 o'clock until 5:30. Lakeview Elementary on May 16th from 5:30 to 6 o'clock p.m. and Apollo Middle on May 16th from 6 o'clock until 6:30 p.m. In addition, I would like to extend my congratulations to District 6 Antioch for the way that we handled the incident on last week, the tragedy at Waffle House. And Cane Ridge Elementary School students are creating a heart mural to display at the Waffle House where the tragedy occurred. This mural will be displayed in the window of the Waffle House, and its purpose is to encourage the community to spread love and to show support. Thank you.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes, over at Weston Middle School, the boys lacrosse team wrapped up their season and undefeated. And this is a brand new team. I mean, they've only been playing about 3 years. Metro is new to the sport. And so we want to congratulate the lacrosse team at Weston Middle.
Bugs?
Yes, we would love to congratulate Dr. Stewart, Dr. Sonia Stewart at Pearl-Cohn High School. Please give her a round of applause. She's moving up in the district. She'll be impacting the lives of so many more students. So we appreciate her. We love her. And congratulations to Stratford. They were able to attain STEM accreditation. They are the first in the district, the second in the state to do this. So our STEM work is working. I'm just really excited to see what happens with Stratford. Pearl-Cohn High School had their signing day on yesterday. 15 students have earned $2.2 million in scholarships. Now, mind you, that's outside of all the other scholarships that other students have earned. These are just those, I think it was the top 15 students in class ranking. $2.2 million. Something is happening that's great in MNPS. It's working. And then Lead Senior Signing Day will actually be tomorrow at Belmont High School if anybody wants to go ahead and get in the mood for these graduations.
Well, I would like to say congratulations to all the Teachers of the Year. We had a lovely banquet last Tuesday night recognizing all of them. One of the finalists for High School Teacher of the Year was Miss Angela Allen from McGavick High School, and I got to sit with she and her mom, and she's delightful, and she has a passion for what she does. It's palpable. So I just want to say congrats to all of them. So we'll move on to, and the good news is our students and community. Ms. Spearing.
Thank you. It's really nice to have a full house tonight so that the students got to perform in front of your wonderful energy. And also, I hope you will take a look at all of the Tom Joy art that's on display to my right. The art spotlighted tonight, of course, comes from Tom Joy, as the music did. These lovely paintings created by first grade students of Rebecca Hughes and Annie Chris's class after studying the work of Paul Gauguin. Focused on the landscapes of Tahiti. The students learned that Tahiti, a group of islands in the Southeast Asia, was a favorite place of Gauguin. He spent several years there painting the beautiful water, the mountains, and the sunny countryside. And I hope that when you look at these paintings, you will feel the warm breeze and hear the peaceful waves along the shore as the students. Hope you will. Thank you.
We'll move on to awards and recognition. Our people, Dr. Joseph.
Thank you, Ms. Shepard. Tonight, we are proud to honor the 2018 Academies of Nashville Students of the Year. The award is given in recognition of the outstanding academic and extracurricular achievement and commitment to learning and leadership demonstrated as a student in the Academies of Nashville of Metro Nashville Public Schools. We will be honoring students from Antioch, Cane Ridge, Glencliff, Hillsborough, Hillwood, Hunters Lane, Maplewood, McGavick, Overton, Pearl-Cohn, Stratford, and Whites Creek.
I'm sorry.
No, not a problem.
I want you to miss that.
I got it. And the creek. Mrs. Shepard and I will help present these awards. Once each student has been recognized, we will take pictures with each student and then as an entire group. I'm going to turn the microphone over at this time to Amira Palacios, and she will walk us through the next steps.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to be with you this evening to honor our Academies of Nashville Students of the Year. So Dr. Joseph, Anna Shepard, Donna Gilley, our Director of the Academies, and John George of Deloitte will be presenting the awards. Our Academy Students of the Year, if you can line up behind John in order of your school, starting with Antioch. Each student will receive a special certificate from the Board of Education from Anna. Dr. Joseph will present each student a stole. Donna will present each student a special trophy for Students of the Year, and John will present a special gift from our great partner of the Academies, Deloitte. Without further ado, first student is Diana Sun from Antioch High School. Diana is in the Academy of Teaching and Service, and she will attend the University of Tennessee to pursue a degree in mathematics. Our next student is Dwayne Johnson from Cane Ridge High School. Dwayne's in the Academy of Architecture and Construction, and he will be attending the Alabama A&M University, and in the fall will be majoring in mechanical engineering. Yes. And Dwayne will be part of the football team there, so he's very talented. Our next student is Sundis Sharhan from Glencliff High School. Sundis is in the Ford Academy of Business and Innovation. She will be attending MTSU in the fall to pursue a career in pre-pharmacy. Josh West of Hillsborough High School is our next student. Josh is in the Academy of Global Health and Science. Josh has earned a full scholarship to Center College and plans to major in computer science. Madeline Ginsberg is our next student. She is from Hillwood High School. She is in the Academy of Business and Hospitality. She will be attending the University of Tennessee at Knoxville in the fall, where she will major in environmental engineering. Our next student is Melissa Lara Gomez from Hunters Lane High School. She is in the Academy of International Baccalaureate. Melissa plans to attend Trevecca Nazarene University and study nursing. Our next student is Jakaya Fox from Maplewood High School. Jakaya is in the Academy of Sports Medicine and Wellness. In the fall, she will attend Belmont University on a full academic scholarship. She will be majoring in athletic training with a minor in entrepreneurship. Callie Cobb from McGavick High School is our next student. Callie is in the Aegis Sciences Corporation Academy of Life Science and Law. She will attend Western Kentucky University on a $42,000 scholarship pursuing a bachelor's degree in elementary education. Hopefully she comes back to MNPS to teach. Our next student is Zephyr Barber from Overton High School. Zephyr is in the Academy of Health Sciences. She will attend college at Virginia Commonwealth, pursuing a degree in biochemistry before continuing with her doctorate in pharmacy. Asia Lawrence is our next student. Asia is in the Academy of Entertainment Communication at Pearl-Cohn Entertainment Magnet. In the fall, she will be attending Belmont University on a full academic scholarship. Robert Lilly Sneed from Stratford STEM Magnet High School is our next student. Robert is in the Academy of Science and Engineering. He will be attending Tennessee State University in the fall. And our last but not least student is Devanshi Patel from Whites Creek High School. Devanshi is in the Academy of Community Health. She will attend Middle Tennessee State University in the fall to pursue a career in medicine. Congratulations, students. And now come up one by one to take a picture with your board member.
Proud of y'all, man. I promise I am.
Yeah. Go on.
Antioch's first, right?
Yep.
Antioch.
Dr. Bauer?
What's in the backpack? It's good stuff.
Good look.
Principal Academy is pregnant. She's at home.
Okay, I highlighted the wrong one.
Thank you.
Hillsborough.
That'd be Dottie.
Okay. Hillwood.
Dr. Chauncey want to be up here?
Dr. Chauncey?
Three, two, one more.
Hunter's Lane?
Go up there. Yeah, go up there. Is Ethan here?
Yep.
Ethan, go up there. I'll take one.
Okay.
Yeah, go up. You sure? Yeah, go up there.
Yes.
Absolutely. You're the academy coach. Three, two, one.
Maplewood? McGavick?
Wow, Anna. You got your tiptoes.
Overton?
Three, two, one.
I did.
Farrakhan? Yes. Is Miss Jackson here?
Yolanda.
Jump in there. Okay.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 5,
Stratford. Stratford. Whites Creek.
Mom, daddy, cousin, uncle, brother, come on. Come. Grandma, great-grandma.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, he needs
Congratulations. You feel pressure?
Perfect. This one's yours? This one's yours? Okay. All right, 3, 2, perfect. 3, 2, one. One more. Make him into beams. 3, 2, perfect.
Come on.
Dr. Jones, we're going to get one group shot at your main You guys looked at the backpacks? Not yet.
I need to know what's in the backpack.
Here we go. 3, 2. Beautiful. One more. 3, 2. Perfect. Thank you.
I'll let them leave before I start talking.
What's in here?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was indeed the fun stuff right there. That was great. And so we have more, and the good news is we have student ambassadors from Maplewood and Whites Creek High Schools. Are they still here? Would you come to the podium, please? Great.
You facing this way or this way?
This way.
This way.
All right. Hello, I'm Emmanuel Kendrick. I am a senior at Whites Creek High School and the community of AESL.
I'm Alan England. I'm a senior at Whites Creek High School as well, and I'm in the Alternative Energy Sustainability and Logistics Academy.
I'm Mackenzie Rose. I'm a 12th grader as well, and I'm also in AESL.
So, we are here to talk a little bit about the project that we have been so excited to announce that we are working at our school. We have been working with Mr. Carney to acquire 40 solar panels that we plan to use to build a 40 panels working solar farm at our school that we will use to power the school itself.
Very good.
Oh, not all.
You're not done?
Not all.
Okay. So you may be wondering why we're doing this. First off, we won a grant from Ford 2 years in a row, first place prize, $30,000 initially at the end total. So we're taking that money, we're putting it towards a solar farm, not just for the benefit of our school, but to educate the community. The biggest key is education. I'm going to do a little analogy here for you. So just to show you how beautiful the brain is. Okay, so close your eyes. I want you to imagine a childhood memory, or any memory, really, where you're outside. Now, I want you to look at that grass on the ground. I want you to zoom in each individual strand of grass, okay? Each one of those blades of grass could be something that you learn and fill with knowledge. Now, I'd much rather be out here educating these kids on solar farms and stuff like that than drugs and violence. That's the main reason we're doing this, is to educate the community.
So I would like to formally invite all of you guys, the community, and all of you guys up here our groundbreaking ceremony is May 17th at 1 p.m. at Whites Creek. So that's next Thursday at 1 p.m. at the actual school. Thank you. So come join us and celebrate with us for this big accomplishment. Thank you.
Don't go away. Don't go. Don't go. We need a picture opportunity here. Oh my goodness. Cool.
I already did.
I feel like I need to be saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Just a couple. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our public participation, our community. Oh, my bad.
Got Maplewood.
Sorry.
Hello, my name is Donisha Wells. I'm a senior at Maplewood, and my pathway is entrepreneurship and innovation.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Marine, and I'm in the pathway sports medicine. I'm a senior as well.
And we really just came up here to thank y'all, MNPS, for our journey through high school because, you know, we've had so many opportunities and we just wanted to share a few with you because if it weren't for y'all and, you know, the decisions that y'all make, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I have came a very long way.
Yes, she has. She's one of my students.
Yes, I would first start off saying both of us grew up minorities, especially in a minority-based area.
And
where are the tissues when we need them?
I'll just say, like, we've had hard times. We don't get many opportunities. And going to an MNPS school, it's just so many doors that have been opened. Like, people like Dean and, like, our AVID administrator, which is Miss Marshall, they made the path a lot easier for us. They helped us with anything we needed. Like, any help we needed, you could go to them. You know, even when you don't have that support that you need or that you know, wouldn't get anywhere else. Like, we both were able to come out of high school with full academic ride. Like, she has her to Belmont, and I have mine to TSU, and we just want to appreciate y'all for that.
Thank you. We couldn't have done it without MNPS. Honestly, our whole high school experience was just a blessing. And people really don't see that coming from East Nashville, this area. People look down on, especially with all these things going around. I just want to thank you so much because you have helped me overcome all these stereotypes, and then you're helping me get my family out and many other people as well.
Oh.
So thank y'all.
Absolutely. Go on.
More good news. Okay, so now we'll move on to a public participation in our community. And if you would line up in the order in which your name appears on the screen up there, and we'll start with our first, Erica.
Good evening, Mrs. Shepard, Ms. Spearing, Dr. Joseph, members of the board. I'm Dr. Eric Huth, President of the Metropolitan Nashville Education Association, and I rise this evening to ask you to stand with our students to continue the progress that's been made in MNPS. There was a time in Nashville and Davidson County during which our schools received approximately 15% of the combined government and schools budget. But today, we're closer to 43%. Under Mayor Briley's plan, we'll go down to 40%. The $5 million increase in MNPS funding that he proposes does not represent a status quo budget. It represents a decrease in real school funding. If you just consider the increase in charter school expansion, our traditional public schools will lose approximately $9 million under Mayor Briley's funding proposal. Over the years, many factors have conspired to depress school funding, including revenue shortfalls attributable to a botched property tax appraisal, our city's love of disastrous tax increment financing plans, the redirection of tax revenue from schools to monuments like the Music City Center, the state's fiscal capacity formula, the financial impact of charter schools, and the keen desire on the part of Nashville mayors, past and present, for the IT city to remain what they have called a low-tax community. This afternoon, you found out for the first time that the mayor's plan for funding our schools next year proposes the sale of the Merrill School property for $13 million. $6 million more than its appraised value. Please understand that if you do indeed sell Merrill, you are actually continuing to fund our schools with reserve funds. This is not the time for Metro schools to grant Mayor Briley and the Metro Council a pass. This is the time for them to recognize our children, some of our most fragile citizens, deserve a reliable funding stream that adequately funds our schools. We desperately need more money for social emotional learning, textbooks, technology, basic building repairs, competitive salaries, instructional supplies, including paper and toner that we have to use because we have no textbooks, and much more. Please join MNEA in encouraging Nashville to fund our schools and end the conspiracy to starve us out of existence. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm the reading recovery teacher at Dan Mills. I work with an average of 30 students a day, 6 one-on-one and 4 groups with 6 students in each group. The students I'm working with one-on-one have grown an average of 15 levels. In my groups, students are growing at an average of 10 levels. These little ones had been in school for 1 to 2 years and had been unresponsive to classroom instruction. Without something supplemental and more specialized, the gap in their performance and the performance of their peers would continue to widen even more. For this reason, we must do everything in our power to preserve and expand reading recovery training and certification. This certification and training is essential because it expands teacher knowledge and impact, which is the crux of student success. It also provides a structured implementation model for supervision and continued professional development. Finally, it attracts and keeps the best teachers in our districts. I stand before you today as a concerned teacher. I wonder, what do we have that's better than reading recovery? I was first trained in another district, and I came to Metro last year knowing I would need to retrain. I didn't mind reading recovery training because it's so stellar. It's extensive, it's grounded in theory and research, it includes opportunities for practice and feedback, and most importantly, it is not scripted. If you come to my school or any school like it, you'll find a closet bursting with old scripted programs. These programs assume teachers lack pedagogical knowledge and skills, and they deprive us of the ability to think critically, be flexible, modify, and add rigor. The programs have been rejected, and they now collect dust on our shelves. Teachers who use them are no more knowledgeable today than they were before using them. What will happen to students who would normally get specialized instruction from reading recovery teachers? This is critical. We must ask this question. The plan is for classroom teachers to also teach one-on-one reading recovery lessons. I've attempted this. After my first year of certification, I returned to the classroom. My work in the classroom was completely different than my work as a teacher in reading recovery. There was simply no time in the day to do reading recovery. The plan for teachers to teach reading recovery concurrent with classroom teaching is just not an option. Believe me, I've tried it. I wonder, if we can't teach 4 reading recovery lessons a day, how will we keep certification? I know this is a huge priority for our district. Without certification, this means our district's most highly qualified reading specialists will no longer be certified, and our district money and our personal effort in graduate coursework would be wasted. I wonder, what other program is scalable? What could we implement with Fidelity? This year, we attempted to scale by adding teacher coaching into the scope of our jobs. Schools that have had this model have seen tremendous impact. I also wonder how many reading recovery teachers will follow the plan to enter priority schools. I moved into Metro because of its implementation of reading recovery. So did several of my grad school colleagues. My experience and skills lie in being a reading interventionist, not a classroom teacher. Reading recovery teachers are specialists, and we want to be used as this. We agree, better reading instruction is a priority. We've been supporting this through coaching. Reading recovery is a great way to keep the highest trained teachers in the neediest schools. One more thing, really quick. I also wonder what will happen to kids like Michael. Today, Michael's mom wrote me a note. She wrote, "We are so grateful for you and all you've done to help Michael with his reading. We didn't see true progress until you came into the picture." Reading recovery is powerful because of the immediate growth we see with children who have otherwise remained stagnant.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends.
Hello, my name is Marissa Coda, and I'm a Reading Recovery Teacher Leader. Reading Recovery teachers have a code of ethics that accompanies our certification. The second bullet in that code is work persistently, sincerely, and intently to meet the needs of each child served. We take that charge seriously, and our fervor to advocate for the lowest performing students, we can be zealous. To date, 23 of our teachers have secure employment next year. We understand this process is ongoing through the summer, and if we don't find placements, we will be placed in positions as promised. Even still, our reading recovery teachers are not only worried about themselves. We are anxious that next year's first grade students will not have the same level of support this year's students experienced. It is that thought that drives teachers to call, write, speak out for the students they serve, for the students that struggle the most in the schools that struggle the most. Please be patient with them. The Reading Recovery Code of Ethics 10th bullet states, communicate clearly to all audiences the level of expertise established by one's reading recovery training and the limitations of that expertise for performing other duties. I want to speak for reading recovery teachers whose reputations are hurt badly in the back and forth that has occurred since the last board meeting. I would like to thank Dr. Joseph because I have not heard him call us ineffective. I have not heard him say that our program does not work. I have not heard him say that teachers are not worthy of positions in this district. I have not heard him say that we do not know how to teach early reading. In fact, I have heard the opposite. I have heard him call us highly trained, extremely effective, and a model for what he would like to see in classrooms. Unfortunately, I have recently had to listen to teachers as they express their sorrow about comments said to them, including that reading recovery is ineffective, does not work, and is an inadequate intervention because gains diminish over time, all of which are false. Reading recovery students grow at an accelerated rate with reading recovery teachers. 100% of our students grow. 67% of students make it to benchmark in 12 to 20 weeks. Most of our students grow an average of a year and a half classroom gain, even if they do not graduate. Those gains do not regress, but the trajectory of growth does not sustain. This type of growth is unmatched in the classroom and is supported by classroom assessment evidence. Consider this analogy. I taught my 16-year-old to drive a car. I'm confident that she could drive anything that resembles a car, but I would expect that my child would need a bit more teaching to drive a large truck, a bus, or a semi-truck. The same is true for reading recovery. We are extremely effective in teaching students an early literacy processing system, or in other words, K-2 instruction. What we cannot do in 12 to 20 weeks is teach the curriculum for 4 grades. That is what I heard Dr. Joseph saying about reading recovery. It does what it's intended to do, but because the classroom is not able to sustain those gains, perhaps we need to put money in the classroom first. Please help our teachers by correcting the misinformation we are hearing. Reading recovery teachers are disoriented by what happened. They are grieving and they are searching for jobs. we can change the conversation around the effectiveness with a strong, loud, and clear message that they are highly skilled, highly effective teachers. I call them Navy SEALs, and I would welcome the opportunity to tell you in detail why I think that.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Joseph. My name is Kristen Battle. I'm currently a teacher at Thurgood Marshall Middle School. I've been working for MNPS since 2003, and I'm here in support of Carlton Battle. In a few moments, board members, you will be asked to vote for or against a 10-day suspension. We know you're not here to decide guilty or innocent, but there are great concerns that need to be addressed about the fidelity of the investigation process. Okay. I met Mr. Battle in 1999 at Tennessee State University. He was already mentoring and coaching young people that were not much younger than he was. I witnessed firsthand his ability to motivate young and old on and off the court, from the Belmead area to the Whites Creek area. His drive to do what's right has caused him to stand out. So that's why these charges against him are so outrageous and false. He arrives home late after games as coach and rises early at 4 a.m. as Mr. Battle to ensure that he's there before the students get there to greet his students getting off the bus. This incident has affected our family greatly. He has lost sleep and even shed tears when he heard a student needed his leadership to make it to graduation. He was not there to support him, and he is not a man that easily cries at all. During this time, I gave birth to my child a month early due to the stress that this has caused. She is a blessing from God because I don't know what he would have done without her being here during this process. He's been with her through night and day with his phone in his hand, waiting for a call from MNPS any day to vindicate him of these charges, and he has not received that. We've lost trust in people and are in utter disbelief that such things go on in a place that we have invested and dedicated many hours, as well as sending our 2 boys that are here today to Metro schools. There were some very questionable methods used during the investigation process, several inaccuracies through the documents, including employee information from another investigation, and summaries that need to be addressed further. I asked, if you are not 100% sure that this investigation was conducted with fidelity, free from retaliatory and or vindictive motives, please vote against it, and it's your due diligence to ensure that Mr. Battle receives a thorough and fair investigation. Thank you.
Good evening. I'll read directly from a letter issued by Dr. Joseph. I'm looking for the clock so I can, okay. Number 1, opportunity not to engage. Additionally, you left the scene of the incident in the school without reporting the altercation to proper authorities and MNPS leadership. When was the opportunity not to engage? I clearly wrote in my statement that the parent was beating on the door and repeatedly asking me to come outside. After being asked to wait until I finished addressing the team, he insisted I meet him at that moment. The parent wrote in his statement that the door was open to the locker room, and he walked straight in and asked me to meet with me. So when was the opportunity not to engage? At the conclusion of the incident, I was outside with MNPS school security and was given permission by security to have one of my students ride home with me to de-escalate the situation. Within seconds of leaving the premises, I was on the phone with my executive principal and have the phone records to prove that. We talked Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday about the incident. As far as cursing the student, these statements are inconsistent. After all, the parent had to give a reason as to why he originally walked to the locker room. But it's my belief that the parent only came down to confront the coach for dismissing his son for being very disrespectful. You went into the hallway to confront the parent. You were observed to be face-to-face with the parent and were heard using profanity. Me going out into the hallway to confront the parent is an opinion. I was asked to come into the hallway. Obviously, if the parent came to our locker room, he was coming to confront me. In no statement does it say that I was using profanity towards the parent. You responded by punching the parent in the face several times, causing the parent to bleed profusely. I, along with other adults, have repeatedly told investigators that there was only one defense strike thrown by me towards the aggressor. This is the only time that I made any contact with him. There was no mention of blood in the parent's statement. I was told, and it was written on at least one statement, the parent slipped and fell on the floor during the altercation, and this may be where he was cut. You then left the locker room area and went to the parking lot and left the school premises without reporting the altercation to proper authorities. I've stated that before, what happened. A number of students were present in the locker room, heard the altercation outside the locker room, and saw the parent getting off the floor. I decided to honor the parent's request and step outside the locker room immediately and talk to him. This is after the parent was told several times that I would be out in a moment. He would not stop demanding for me to come outside. At that time, we didn't know the situation would turn out this way. We thought I would speak to the parent and the assistant coach would finalize the team meeting so the students would not hear the conversation. Now I ask, if the blood on the floor was my blood, would we be here today? If I had taken a punch or two or three and laid on the floor, would we be discussing my injuries? I don't think so. I think I would be back in my school at work. Additionally, as a result of the altercation in which you were involved, another altercation transpired between another player on the team and a student manager. The two students that were involved had a disagreement on how I was being treated at that moment. I don't condone any physical harm towards another human being. Unfortunately, I have not yet and never will be able to address that situation with my team. On numbers 8 through 13, on the fundraiser, I was never given due process. I only found out about this after the investigation, and so it's missing valuable information. In closing, I feel that I have been punished enough. I have been demoted to a classroom teacher. I'm not able to coach, and I'm expecting a transfer. I've missed time with students, faculty, and staff, ACTs, EOCs, prom, graduation, and spending time with my first-year teachers. I'm just asking for the charges not to be certified. Thank you.
We will move on to governance issues, our organization with the consent agenda. Ms. Spearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My microphone on. Okay, there it is. The consent agenda reads as follows. 1A, approval of minutes 4/16/2018, 3/13/2018, 3/27/2018, 2/27/2018, 1/23/2018, 12/12/2017, 11/28/2017, and 11/14/2017. B, recommended approval of change order number 3 for Martin Luther King Jr. Magnet School additions and renovations, American Constructors. C, recommended approval of request number 28 for purchase of furniture at Glencliff, Inglewood, Rosebank, Warner, and Whitsett Elementary Schools, GBI, Inc. D, recommended approval of request number 1 for material testing services, Eagle View Elementary School, SNME. And Madam Chair, I'm going to stop the consent agenda just for a minute I forgot to mention that I want to take E6 and F and G off of the consent agenda. E6, F, and G. Okay, D, recommended approval of request number 1 for materials testing services, Eagle View Elementary School, S&ME. E, awarding of purchases and contracts. 1, Carver Construction Company. 2, East End Preparatory School. 3, KIP Nashville Nonprofit LLC. 4, Lead Public Schools. 5, Republic Schools. 7, Vanderbilt University for 3 contracts. And 8, Well Child, Inc., WCI. Madam Chair, this concludes the reading of the consent agenda, and I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. We'll go ahead and vote on the consent agenda on your iPads.
Here it is.
The consent agenda passes unanimously as read. Ms. Berry?
All right. In terms of TNTP, I just want to say that I'm not interested in a discussion on it. I just want to say that for the record, I'm not going to vote for this contract. We have a $7.5 million shortfall that is resting on the shoulders of our schools and our students. And that deficit has not been consolidated this year. I feel strongly about my fiduciary responsibility, so I just want to go on record to say that I do not want to continue adding to this deficit. With $120,000 for 6 schools for 4 months. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Also, should I talk about 7? Section 3 and Section 5, which is F and G. I talked with Dr. David Sevier this afternoon, and we realized that some updates were omitted from these policies, so I'd like to defer these policies for 2 weeks, which would be May 22nd. So shall I make that motion? I move that we discuss support Section 3 and Section 5 for the new policies at a deferred date on May 22nd.
Can I get a second?
Second, because I have a question.
All right. Are we going to vote on an iPad for this? Okay. Oh, anybody want to?
Clear, we're deferring it because as they're written today, it doesn't contain the updates we discussed, right? Okay.
If I may also, just before if I could just have Dr. Felder come up to clarify the funding source for TNTP, because
We finished this one, we'll come back to it.
Yeah. Wait just a minute. We need to vote on this.
Voting to defer?
Yes, we are. We're motion to defer for 2 weeks until May the 22nd.
So with,
We're waiting on this vote right here.
sorry.
Acknowledge, sir.
Okay. The motion to defer those 2 items passes unanimously.
So I'll just start, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Felder. I think it's important to note that there are multiple sources of funding within the school district, so what was referred to has nothing to do with a shortfall, but we will allow Dr. Felder and Ms. Mary to clarify for us.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. So indeed, the funding for this work is through a grant, and I'm going to allow Dr. Marie Clark, Director for Federal Programs and Grants, to provide you with more detailed information.
I wanted to clarify this. It's very specific funding. The state had some federal school improvement funds unused by another district that they reached out to Metro Nashville to apply for these funds. And we submitted a grant application. Part of the work on there was to continue the literacy support at different levels in the priority schools. And if we can give you more information about the work, but I wanted to clarify the funding source. These funds are dropping dead September 30th. We had to do a real specific plan where the state felt like the funds were used. We're going to get a good impact on our district, and they approved the application. They approved the work with TNTP to be extended. So it was a small window. The state wanted to use them for priority schools in Tennessee and reached out to us. So,
Madam Chair, could I ask a question? So just for clarity and for the record's sake, so this is money from the state that is grant funded.
It's federal money.
Federal money
but through the
that
state.
Came through the state. For literacy intervention for priority schools. So if we vote against it, we would be just kind of giving away free money. We would not be taking money from our own budget.
or we wouldn't be getting any more. We would not be getting the money for our operating budget.
These funds have been approved by the state, so if this contract was not passed, we would have to go back to the state, and they may or may not approve them to be used another way.
So if we vote against this, they may take the money back.
It may even go back to the Treasury. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Is this program being used at Jerry Baxter, one of Mrs. Spearing's schools? And I think I've heard some really good things about it, actually.
Lisa, who oversees instruction in these schools.
Yes, one of the 6 schools would be Jerry Baxter, who would receive intensive coaching support for their leadership team at Jerry Baxter.
So how has that impacted those children at that school?
So the program directly impacts the literacy coach and the 4 ELA teachers, and providing improved instruction and improved opportunities for those students to engage in literacy across the core instruction practices.
Has it been successful?
We don't have official TN Ready data, but yes, our MAP data indicates that it has created success for our students.
But it's not costing us anything?
Correct.
Okay.
What are the other 5 schools?
The other 5 schools include Buena Vista and Napier. They include Jerry Baxter, Joelton, Pearl Cone, and Robert Churchwell Magnet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion.
I move approval of item 1E from the consent agenda, the TNTP Incorporated contract.
Second.
E6, sorry, 1E6.
Okay.
1E6.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay. Are we going to use our iPads to vote on this? Okay, please vote using your iPad.
We need markers like they used to do in the old days.
Do what?
Chips. Just throw them out in the middle of the floor every time we want to vote. Talk about, bud.
Just love her.
Yeah. This just gets better and better. He's so sleepy, he just can't stand it. Much fun since you got here.
He thinks he's been elected.
Maybe I should hold it.
All right, so the vote passes unanimously with one extension on E6 to approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are you doing this next one? Okay.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to item number 2.
On this one.
Thank you. Item number 2 is the certification of the 10-day suspension of Mr. Carlton Battle. And dear board members, I'm writing to recommend a suspension for 10 days of Carlton Battle from employment as an assistant principal with the Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools pursuant to TCA 49-5-511. I have charged him with unprofessional conduct becoming to a member of the teaching profession, and inefficiency, which are grounds for his suspension pursuant Tennessee Code annotated 49-5-511. These terms are specifically defined in Tennessee Code annotated 49-5-501. Evidence supporting these charges was set forth in my letter to Carlton Battle on May 2nd, 2018, a copy of which is attached. I'm asking you to certify these charges by voting that, if proven true, these charges warrant Mr. Battle's suspension for 10 days. Should you certify these charges, I will inform Mr. Battle of your action and formally advise him of his right to request a hearing before an impartial hearing officer. At this time, I am only asking you to certify the charges. I'm not asking you to weigh any evidence either for or against the 10-day suspension. I am merely asking you to vote that the charges, if proven true, warrant suspension. If Mr. Battles requests a hearing, it will occur at some point in the future. Accordingly, it is my recommendation that Carlton Battle be suspended for 10 days from employment with the Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. Anybody have any questions, discussion?
So an investigation will follow this?
Motion first.
Yeah.
Need a motion.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to support Dr. Joseph's recommendation.
Have a second? Mary,
Second,
Mary,
because I
second.
have a question.
Okay, no discussion and questions?
So once an investigation takes place, if charges are not substantiated, then this suspension, where would that be?
Sure. I'm going to ask our lawyer, Ms. Kari Harkey, to come up, and she can explain the process at this point.
Yes, that's correct. So the recommendation has been made for a 10-day suspension. At this process, if you certify the charges, the next step is that he can request a hearing before an impartial hearing officer. That is where both sides would have the opportunity to be represented by counsel, present facts, evidence, witnesses, whatever they want to do to make their case. The impartial hearing officer would make a decision, and then that decision can be appealed by either Mr. Battle or by MNPS back to the Board of Education. At that point, it would come back to you guys with a full transcript of the hearing, with evidence, with all the information that would have been supported by to make whatever decision the impartial hearing officer makes. Yes.
So if we certify the charges and Mr. Battle requests a hearing, if it takes a week to get the hearing scheduled or a month to get the hearing scheduled, what is Mr. Battle's status?
At this point, he has been recommended for a 10-day suspension. So he would serve. Pursuant to law, he's able to be suspended for those 10 days pending the hearing investigation, completion of the hearing investigation. After he serves those 10 days, he can come back and finish up the rest of this school year in his position, keeping the same pay as the assistant principal. I think he was reassigned to a different school for the remainder of this school year.
I think my question was the status, if so, between tonight and the time he actually gets the hearing, what's his status?
He would be returning to work. So he serves his 10-day suspension. So he's an employee. I don't.
Right now. So right now, what is his status?
Right now, he is serving that 10-day suspension. He has been on paid administrative leave up to the recommendation, and it was going to come before the board. So he's been paid administrative leave. Just when this letter went out on May 2nd, I think that is when they instituted the 10-day suspension.
Gotcha.
So you serve the 10-day suspension.
So he's already on suspension.
Right now, he is currently on. He is suspended pending the final whatever comes of this. So basically, if we go forward, we have a hearing, the board hears it, and ultimately the 10-day suspension is overturned or it's not approved, he would get the money back for the 10 days of suspension that he served. But after he serves these current 10 days, he would be coming back as an employee to finish out the year for the last few weeks of school. Sorry.
So just to be clear, he's already been out the month of February, or some part of February, all of March, and all of April, and he's still out now.
Correct.
Isn't he subbing somewhere?
Currently, right now, he is serving that 10-day suspension. He was out for previously on paid administrative leave, but currently he's doing the suspension. Once the recommendation for suspension was made, that's when the suspension was instituted, and then he would be returning at a different location.
So what was the start date of his suspension?
I believe May 2nd. I can pull my letter to find out. So I think May 16th. I'm doing this off the top of my head, which is always dangerous, but I believe May 16th is when he would be returning to.
We're talking school days, not
school days.
Okay.
So in some ways, I am confused of our role.
Any other questions or discussion?
I mean, this. I guess it sounds dumb, but I guess I feel like I'm not sure what our role is if he's already on the suspension.
What does certification mean?
I mean, it just means if he can have the hearing.
It's a policy we've been trying to get out of for the past 5 years.
It's state law that we have to certify the charges. This is a little different because it's a suspension. Oftentimes you will see these things come through as a termination process. However, since this is a suspension over 3 days, it requires the same process as a termination.
Okay, we have a motion that's been made and seconded, and we've had discussion. we need to vote if there's no more discussion.
I have a quorum. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I lost the whole thing.
Broke it. Told you we need chips. Just throw the chips in. I hate it. We can't just say the vote? Can we just say the vote? Yeah, it passed 5-1.
You looking at me?
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and do a hand vote. The motion has been made and seconded to approve to certify the charges. So all in favor, show of hands, yes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all opposed. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the reports, our organization. Dr. Joseph.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight, we will be presenting an update on our organizational goal area within the update on performance management. Implementing our strategic plan involves a lot of moving parts, cross-departmental communication, reliance, and collaboration. Thorough and effective project management is absolutely necessary for our organization to maximize the benefit of those moving parts, to align the work to the priorities of our plan, and to measure progress with the key performance indicators. With the expertise of the Director of Planning and Project Management, Tamara Fentress, we are developing performance scorecards within our performance management priority area. Mrs. Fentress will provide an update on this progress this evening.
Good evening. Oh, it's been a roller coaster. So I just want to, first of all, address the fact that it says it's a KPI scorecard update, but what you see as a header on this PowerPoint, it says performance management. So what I'm going to provide for you this evening is give you a little bit of context as far as how the KPI scorecard, how it fits within the overall work we're doing with performance management. So that our organization, performance management and data monitoring work has actually focused on 5 topics this school year. Those would be the strategic framework implementation, the district scorecard, which those are the 2 that we're going to address tonight. The director's evaluation also falls within that as far as aligning to the strategic framework, the school improvement planning, and also data governance. So our expected outcomes for this presentation, the first being that I would like to introduce this the structure of the strategic framework in a visual, and then review 2 examples of how this, exactly how this looks as we take action on the work. And then the second is I'm going to give you an update regarding the progress we've made on 2 scorecard versions, because there's actually a static version, so there's the version that's really more of a manual update, and then we have something we would like to share with you, which is going to be the data warehouse version. And for that portion, I'm actually going to get Laura Hansen, our Director of Information Management and Decision Support, to come up and help me with that portion. So what you should have at your tables is you should have a capture sheet, and it basically lists out the outcomes and has an area for you to collect your questions and comments for us to have a collaborative discussion at the end of this session. Do you have that? Okay, great. So next I'm going to show you 3 slides that you typically see in many of the presentations that come before the board. It's our foundation, which covers basically the vision, mission, and values. You normally see this strategic framework goal areas, where it just points out the fact that we have 4 goal areas, and in the middle you see the exceeding great expectations. And the third one would be this priority areas by goal area. You've used this a lot during your budget discussions. But what I'd like to basically present to you tonight is this 1-pager, which is what I like to call this system coherence framework or structure. So this is found on about the page 3, I believe, in your packets. You'll have this as a full printout. Some of the audience, you also may have that if you were here earlier, because we have some copies, and Mark may, if you would like one, he can pass one out to you so you can see it a little bit better. So we're going to review the visual in 2 parts over the next 2 slides. The top portion is basically focused on overall system accountability, which is basically the big picture. The bottom looks at leadership accountability, which is more of the team contributions at both the school and the central office level to drive results for students. And the intended takeaway of sharing this with you this evening is just to relay what Dr. Joseph just said, is that there are many moving parts, there are many layers to the work that we're doing, which is the reason why we refer to it as system coherence structure. So again, distinguishing between the 2 levels of accountability, this being the system accountability level, at the end of the day, this is the work that you approved within the strategic framework at this top level, and that's what you basically hold Dr. Joseph accountable for. All pieces are included within the strategic framework, so this book here that some of you may have, I actually carry it with me. As you may see, I have my name written on the front of it because I have a lot of notes in there, so it's quite important to me because I actually refer to it in every meeting that I'm in. But so far you've heard presentations, I believe, from our students. You've had 2 of those, and Dr. Joseph started that off back in November. You've also heard from our people, and today I'm bringing an update as far as our organization. And the next one that you'll hear, the last, will be our community. So at the very top of this visual, you see the vision, mission, and values, the strategic framework, which comes next, and then the theory of action. And it simply says, if we focus on building staff's capacity to improve school culture, make data-driven decisions, and ensure high-quality first literacy instruction, then we will have outstanding academic achievement for all children. So this last portion right here where you see the colors, you see the 4 goal areas. The thing I'd like to point out there is that we have 4 goal areas again. There's 11 strategies total, but in total we have 130 high-level actions. All of those items are not being implemented during the current school year, but we've actually prioritized out the ones that are being taken action on. And there's more than, like, say for instance, for like the district scorecard, we may have 3 high-level actions that actually apply to that one particular focus area. Now, in regards to what does success look like, you see at the very bottom on this slide, you see the district KPIs by goal areas, and or how do you know you are making progress. So we focus really heavily this school year on the KPIs for our students, the leading and the formative, or leading, formative, and then also the summative or annual measures, including measures like the MAP M and R, which you've heard Dr. Changus give you presentations on over the school year, basically giving us that national percentile percentile analysis, and it also includes measures by the Council of Grady City Schools. So I see, Will, he's not here, but I put that in there specifically for him just to share that, we do include those Council of Grady City Schools measures, because this is all around the fact that we want to be able to communicate that we are, in fact, the fastest improving urban school system. And so we need to have measures that we can compare ourselves across the board. Now, there's going to be two tools that we'll discuss later, which I kind of gave you a heads up on, but I just want to basically give you an idea of the system level accountability. If I go to the next slide, the system coherence part 2 on this slide here, it talks about leadership accountability. And this is basically how well the various teams, so we have about 22 strategic initiative teams that are implementing the work, and there's a lead and a co-lead, and then they also have a team that works with them on that work. But it's basically at the school and central office level. So if you look in the center, the reason why school improvement would be found right in the center is because the schools, the way that they implement the strategic framework is based off of their school improvement planning. Around the outside, again, is the 7 priority areas, and it just points out within those what the specific focus is within like curriculum instruction assessment, with literacy, of course, being the highlight there, and also STEAM as well. So the priority areas are shown here, and then if I was to paraphrase what is listed across the bottom, just to highlight that, it just talks about the priority plans are designed to address overall improvements in supports and resources. So it's all about the cross-team collaboration and innovation. How do we get at that? And it's the expectation, and the reason why there's a one-page visual is it's all about how does that work impact the district KPIs, and how do those shorter cycle measures that we have within the actual individual plans, how do those give us advance notice that we are making progress in the right direction. So if I was to share just 2 examples really quick on this visual, and then we'll move on, it shows here, for example, it shows our organization, and then at the next level, it talks about the strategy O2. And the reason why I'm bringing some of these back up is because we want to make sure that you all are clear that we are still focusing our work on what was originally articulated in the strategic framework. So this is an example of how what you may have heard about how it actually links back to the work in the framework. So create a collaborative culture of data analysis and accountability is the strategy O2 in our organization. Then one of the high-level actions, and you also have this in your packet, one of the sheets with the green coloring on it, if you'd like to read along aside from the slide, but create systems and schedules for monitoring and reporting on key performance indicators and annual targets. So this is something, again, that we agreed that we were going to work towards. And then one of the measures that I pulled out for this item is increased performance management reporting on the part of the director, schools, and departments to board and public based on key performance indicators. So the way we took action on that, as far as in a priority, is there was a priority area of performance management and operational efficiency. So that's how that particular, of the 7 priority areas, how that came to be based off of some of the core areas within the framework. And then examples of that would be the strategic framework implementation and reporting. I believe Dr. Joseph shares with you after our monthly sessions when Mike Merchant comes in, he shares with you our dashboard that basically says which of our key implementations are on track, behind schedule, or those that require some help or need help with their work. And then district scorecard development. So that's that example. That's more of a operational example. So if I was to share one from our students, then I would say the strategy S1. So it's about delivering high quality pre-K through 12 instruction and increase the relevance and rigor of the pre-K through 12 curriculum. The high level action, so S111, that links with that work would be articulate, deliver, and support pre-K through 3rd grade literacy instruction. And then the key performance measure that I can identify to go with that, the first portion would say increase percentage of students demonstrating greater than average growth in all core subjects. And then to get a little bit more specific, it would be the 2nd and 8th grade MAPR reading, percentage of students in quintiles 4 through 5. So that's a specific example of the data that you've recently seen, and then how it links back all the way back up to the top to the Our Students Go area. And so if the priority area is curriculum instruction and assessment, and then literacy being the specific initiative within that work, and again, I'm modeling the layers that we that we have within this work. Then you can see, for example, some of the things that you've heard about, maybe those CIUM, or if I say curriculum instruction update meetings, or the English language arts core action, and the other example of the LTDS is PD. So those were just two examples, just so that I wasn't just sharing with you a model and then not showing you how it actually applied to the work that we're doing and also the work you've heard about in different presentations. But those were just examples, and I can give you examples of many more using that one-page visual. So performance management. So performance management basically starts with supporting our people and providing them with the necessary tools that they need to be successful. So we are using the outward mindset work with Mike Merchant and from Arbinger Institute to help us acknowledge both the cultural and operational shifts that are necessary for this success. So ensuring that we see people as people and not objects. Together, we are focused on continuous learning and improvement towards those shared outcomes. So that's in the form of the district KPIs that you see listed up back on that visual. So Mike has said this many times, and so I was going to make sure that I was going to include that. And when I spoke to you all today, it's not about holding people accountable, but it's about having accountable people is what we are really after in the district. So measuring performance. So the goal for the OUT organization is create organizational excellence across the district and schools. And if the target being, and this is the one that I actually used in the example previously, being about, increasing our reporting to you around KPIs, then if I also mention that there's about 3 others that fall within the OUT organization area, and it's one example is like the increased employee satisfaction or decreased complaints by service areas. So there's additional levels. So that's the reason why up here, if I was to show you that the formative and summative, which I spoke about just a little bit earlier on the visual, there's the leading piece, those things that we look to give us some, like I said, advanced notice and map data, just being that most urgent example, and then also summative. So when we say summative or the annual measures, a lot of times people associate those with those state accountability measures, those things that we get at the end that we have no control over changing once we get those things. So the next slide, you've seen this one before as well. It was back in November when Dr. Joseph shared it with you. But the main thing that I'd like to really point out here is that no single wheel on this particular visual can move successfully or turn successfully without being alive to the needs and objectives of the other. So there's many components. The school board, you're here as well, and where you sit as far as policy governance and the director of schools evaluation, but how all of that work impacts the strategic framework and the KPIs all the way to the schools and the school improvement plans and the state accountability measures. So the district scorecard, this is the part you've been waiting for, and you were like, why did you put all that other stuff in the beginning? But again, I think it was important to just give you context that, while the scorecard is a major component that we are excited about because we want to make sure that we're sharing the good work that's going on within the district, with the community, and also with you, the board, so that you have easy access to that information. But we just wanted to get that structure in front of you. So the plans and performance update, it just basically says that back in October, we released the list of school KPIs to the Sharon. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't even looking at them.
No problem. I was just going to remind the board that this was, so what she's about to get into now is what we had been talking about when we began our first set of meetings together, when we were talking about the board had specifically asked us to develop a scorecard, something that we could put out to the public and be transparent about what it is we care about, are we making progress or not, and continuously update that. So now we're getting into the nuts and bolts, because what's going to happen is by the end of this year, we have accomplished that goal. And I really want to thank Tamara for her leadership in this. And, one of the reasons we're making progress in lots of areas and we can communicate it is simply we're focused and we're aligned. And any organization that focuses and aligns their work and consistently monitors in a systemic manner is going to get better results. And I think the fruits of the labor are a result of our extremely hardworking staff really focusing their attention on what you have communicated matters in our strategic plan. Continue. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I told David he should have pinched me or something.
I was trying to scream. You weren't looking up.
I'm sorry. Some of my colleagues back here gave me a time limit. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tell on you all.
And your calculator.
right, exactly. Oh. So basically, we released the student KPIs to principals back in October 2018, and it had a calculation worksheet and some guiding data questions that they could use with their leadership teams and with their schools in general to figure out ways that they could improve on their data points. We also have the static district scorecard that's drafted, and we're going to get that released on our website this summer by posting it on MNPS.org. And then we also have the data warehouse report, which I'm really excited about because this really automates the use and reviewing of the data by school. And we're targeting release of that actually by the start of the 2018-19 school year for principals and their teams. So you've seen this. I think we went over this back in January, this actual cover page at your board retreat then. So what this just basically goes over is basically the same exact structure as the visual, trying to be consistent and show how one piece leads to the next. But the part that I'll just point out as we go into the next slide is the status indicators, basically having the check showing that the target has been met, or the arrows in either direction but being green showing that progress is moving in the right direction, and then also the red that is moving in the wrong direction no matter which way the arrow is going. And then also the triangle, it basically means that there's no change to the current status and adjusted approach is needed. So that whole language around adjusted approach, so given a progress narrative, adjusted approach, and an updated projected target was basically what we agreed we would share with you all back in January. Basically, if we were going to change or turn in a different direction, we would give you a heads up that this is what happened with that data. This is the story behind the curve. This is how we've adjusted our actions to move faster or make improvements. And so that's what we hope that we can share with you via this static scorecard. So on this screen, it basically shows from the left to the right, and you also have this on a handout. But it shows like say for instance for S1, I'll just deal with one area at a time. I'm not going to go through each one. But it shows 2nd through 8th MAP R reading, and then it shows like A and B, which the first is being percentage of students in quintiles 4 through 5. B saying percentage of 3rd grade only in quintiles 4 through 5. And then you'll see setting the baseline for spring 16-17, and then it gives you the progress monitoring from the left to the right for the different periods. And this has basically it's been assessed 3 times during the school year. The actual chart column, what will happen with that column is that it shows a spark line. That's basically something in Excel, but it shows a spark line, and if you were to click on that, it can give you more of the detailed data behind that. So what would be behind those would actually be the detailed charts that Paul Changus shared during his presentation, so that you can see more of the content that he had and how it relates to this actual scorecard. And then we'll have the by 2021 target, so looking out further. So basically what I'm saying over here in my updated projected target at the very last column is that will be updated to actually show the percentage that we expect to be at by 2021. So, and I gave an example, like if it's 3 to 5 percentage points per year, then we would add that up and show what our target is for 2021. The progress narrative column is where we just give you an idea of what's going on in regards to that particular data point. And then the adjusted approach is if there's anything that we feel as though needs to be changed or adjusted or addressed, that's where we'll list that as well. At the bottom of the chart, where it says related strategic framework priority plans for our students, this is where you would be able to see all of the detailed plans by area, so literacy, STEAM, and so on. You'll be able to click on those and see, say, for instance, the plans that they've submitted basically from January to date. and that's where you would see that information. But basically, the whole idea here is that it's a static scorecard where it would capture all the information over the school year, but the difference between what happened this year as far as getting this out on the website over the summer and what will happen next year is that this is something that we will put out for you all on a quarterly basis so that it will be updated on a regular basis and not more of a summative, if I use that language, a summative report at the end of the day.
And this will take one great step towards greater transparency for the school district, for families, and for anyone in the community who wants to know how are we doing on our key performance indicators that we have communicated. It'll be there. They can click. They can get the reports in. It'll give them the justification or the background information about why we're moving forward or why we're not, which will be, again, I think a great improvement and something that this board has asked for.
And so I'm going to ask Laura Hansen to actually come up and share this, the next scorecard with you, which would be the data warehouse version.
Good evening, y'all. It's always good to see you guys. Okay, so I'm just the lucky person who gets to share, honestly, the results of a lot of other amazing people's work. I am a fan of performance management, and Tamara has done an amazing job with all the raw materials that she kind of gave you an overview of before. And the static scorecard kind of gives you a way to kind of look at things at a certain point, you know, and reflect. What I was tasked to do was to take the key performance indicators, create a dashboard that would allow our schools and our folks in the district to have more actionable data. So the one that you're seeing here, it isn't just for, you know, oh, okay, that was nice to know. We're really trying to give people the information in a way that they can use it to take action, or for schools to have not just at the quarter, but any time that they bring up to know where they are against the targets that were set out for them according to the strategic plan. So what we've got here is, and I have to say, shout out to my friend Jennifer Lee. You all have met her before with some other data warehouse reports and things. She's the one who does the magical behind the scenes stuff and just creates wonderful, usable reports out of a bunch of data that comes to her in all forms. So this is in development. It will be in the data warehouse for the new school year. We're kind of doing show and tell right now, getting feedback. It has not been rolled out to the schools, but as I said, the principals and that will get a view of this before we actually roll it out for everyone. So this is just a snapshot. It's a screenshot, not interactive, of the data warehouse. One of the things that we did on the left, you'll see a place where you'll be able to navigate. And I should say the board will have access to this eventually. It's in the data warehouse, so you'll only be able to access it unless you have VPN from behind the school's firewall. It won't be like out there for the world to see and pull up all the time, but you guys will have access to it. So on the left, the first area that you see here is actually on the summary. Each one of those areas to the left, you'll be able to click on to see a different area of the scorecard. So what you see there on the screen is actually from the summary, and this answers the question, how many of our schools are meeting the benchmarks for the certain KPIs. So what you see here under like achievement, you see the MAP 2 through 6 is the first line in quintiles 4 and 5. It shows that for progress monitoring 2, that 97 had not met the target, and 11 of our schools had met the target after progress monitoring 2. You'll see that with progress monitoring 3, that we improved quite a bit, with 62 not meeting, but 45 improving from progress 2 to progress 3, an increase of over 30 schools. And you can see the red and the green gives you kind of an indication about how things are going. So for each KPI there, you see that it's how many schools have met the target and how many have not yet. And there is an NA there that tells you that there is not enough data for that particular school to make a judgment as far as whether they have or have not met the target. So the one area that we have lots of KPIs for is our students. So on the left there, as we were putting this together, we decided to make it a little bit more user-friendly, to break the KPIs up into some thematic buckets, if you will. So the first one is achievement, and that includes our MAP-R and MAP-M, the FAST data, which is the early learning for K-1, reading and math, and also the Tennessee 10 Ready scores, K-12 for students with disabilities as a measure for them. Also under there, you will see the TVOS school-wide composites, and that is actually going to be given with a link to the Department of Ed data. There are some areas that we do not have available in the data warehouse at this point. Those will be linked, though, for easy access by folks, so they'll know where to find it and how to get to that data. Under college and career readiness, some of the ones that we've got now, passing scores 3 or more for AB, IB, and the Cambridge. Some of the areas that are under development, again, with some challenges with getting the data, putting it in, and visualizing it in a way that's meaningful. And in some ways, we also have to do a little bit of an overview and revisiting the KPIs to actually turn it in from language into measures and actually targets for every school being calculated. So it's a little more complicated than it looks sometimes from the front end. So pathway dual credit and dual enrollment will have industry certifications, and the grad rate will be there. And for attendance, we'll have satisfactory attendance, chronic absence rates, and district at-risk attendance referrals. So that kind of measures how well we're responding to some of our at-risk students in the area of attendance. Under the behavior area, we'll have exclusionary discipline, behavior incident counts, the at-risk referral for behavior will be tracked there, and how well schools are doing with that. And also the school admin teams, the percentage of our staff who have been trained on our Tier 1 behavior strategies will be there as a measure. Under family engagement, we'll be using the number of formal parent groups, and this is an area where we really need to beef up the data in the data warehouse. And honestly, some of the areas where, if we got to collect this from schools, we need a consistent way of getting that data updated regularly. So we'll be working on that moving forward. But number of formal parent groups, parent survey participation rates, parent portal signups, which will act as a proxy for the engagement opportunities that are offered, and parent portal usage, which will act as a proxy for parent engagement. And then we'll have one of the areas we move to our organization are the percent conditions for the implementation of our MTSS. And that's really a kind of a measure for the readiness of our organization to really implement that with fidelity. So that is the overview of the different areas and how we've kind of cut up our measures. If you want to go to the next slide. Thanks. So this next one really kind of shows I'm highlighting the achievement area. So I would have clicked on the little achievement menu item on the left, and this is what would open. So you'll see that you'll have the KPIs there to the left, and the district level, the baseline, the targets, progress monitoring 1, 2, 3, and if there's a 4, it would be on there as well. And you'll see growth trends from one progress monitoring the other, but also the growth from the baseline to wherever they are at that point. So they're getting a sense of if they're growing, but also if you're falling back. You could still be from your baseline to, say, progress monitoring 3, still be up above your projection. But if you actually did really well with 2 but fell back in number 3, schools should know that they're still making the grade, but they slipped from one to the next. So we wanted to give actionable data so folks could actually get a sense of that very quickly. And what will happen is you see the little pluses right there under each KPI to the left. When you click on that plus, and this is where the magic happens, I can't do it for you, but as we get, we'll roll it out to the schools first so they can see it before you guys get to see it. But you'll be able to see every school, and they'll be able to see their baseline, their targets, and then their monitoring. And so it's really cool when you see it. You see the up and down arrows, red and green, so you can kind of quickly see who's making the grade, who's growing, and who may need some additional support.
Laura, will this be for both the schools that we oversee and the charter schools? Will we have their data in as well?
Yes, if the data is in the data warehouse, meaning if the charter is is collecting the data in our student information system, we will have that data to also display on the scorecard. So yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I do, just a couple of questions. So we'll have access to it, schools will have access to it. Let's say that I'm a community member, but I don't have a child in MNPS. Can I still access this information? Like, will it be made public for just anyone to scroll through?
So that's actually the difference between, so the static KPI scorecard is the one that's going to be on the website for actual public consumption. We haven't got to the point yet where we're ready to embed the data warehouse report onto the actual website. And when we do, it would not go down, it wouldn't drill down to additional layers. It would have to stop at some of the layers. But we could probably go down to the school level. But in the data warehouse, it allows you to drill all the way down to the individual student.
Okay, thank you.
So,
no, go ahead. I was just asking, when will it be ready?
So the static scorecard is what will be on the website this summer, so June, July. The data warehouse report is what will be ready for schools by the start of the 2018-19 school year.
I believe we've heard before that we were going to have, correct me if I'm wrong, if we were going to have access to a product like this, and man, that was a long time ago. So this is going to come to fruition, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we got it.
I'm writing that down right here.
We got it.
And so I think the thing to point out too, like for the static one, the first one that you saw, is that you'll see, we'll put all the measures that we can provide data on at this very point. And then those that we don't, they won't be populated on there. But you'll have, like say for instance, in the Our People and the Our Organization and Our Community area, where some of those measures haven't been built out as far as the Our Student section, you'll see placeholders for some, and then you'll actually see the plans, the actual individual plans there, but you'll see what's coming. Like one thing that's coming for our community is that we're in the middle of doing the parent-family engagement survey. So that's data that we'll then have available to populate on the Our Community section.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I really just want to thank you, Dr. Joseph, for following through with this. And I almost skipped my required TSBA training. Joanne knows this. A couple weeks ago, it was a beautiful Friday. But I'm so glad I went. It was actually casting the board's vision. And it was probably the best one I've attended. And it was really all this work, because so much of what TSBA was talking to the board members on is, what are you monitoring? What are you talking about at the board table? What work is your board doing? And it really did. It just made me realize how productive we've really been. And thank you for that, for continuing to listen to the board of what we want to monitor, how we all developed the goals and the vision, and I was so proud of myself for being able to say them. And I do think that we were the main board. It was a smaller group, but that, I feel like I kept raising my hand to comment because there was so much to share in light of all this work. So thank you. I'm excited. I'll be a community member clicking on.
I think the other thing to probably just
special access.
Thank you. You know I want it.
I think the other thing to build on to what you were just saying would be the director's evaluation. The director's evaluation is tightly aligned to every single last one of these KPIs. So, when you all do that evaluation, I believe in June, you'll also see some of the early indication of the data points for that as well then. The part that I'm going to work out is the piece where it aligns, where I can show you, like say for instance, like if it's S1 or S2, the items on the scorecard, is specifically which one of those tie back to the actual items on each of the director evaluation prompts.
And a notebook.
Great stuff, for sure. All right. Thank you very much, ladies.
I really do want to thank Paul Changas' shop, IT's shop, and Tamara Fentress for pulling this together. When we talked about it, we talked about the funding challenges, and we got through that because we have extraordinary staff internally, and they really worked hard to make this come to fruition. So it's it looks easy, but they spent countless hours pulling this together, and I really thank them all. I mean, it was a collective team effort, and we've got some amazing staff, and their product is evidence of it. So thank you once again.
And I want to say it wasn't missed that you said finance shop, IT shop, and Tamara. Whole Tamara, all by herself still. I'm trying, Tamara, I've been trying. I've been trying to do the PMO thing. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. And Tamara.
We'll move on. I do not have a board chair report tonight, so we will start with announcements. Dr. Gentry? Dr. Brennan?
Yes, at Shane Elementary tomorrow, they will be having the final performance of The Lion King at 1:45.
I don't have anything.
Pierce?
Yes, I get to be a guest tomorrow night at Aiken Elementary's final production of 101 Dalmatians, and their award-winning national recognized music teacher Rita Black and her kind of swan song before she moves over to Glendale. So I know the Aiken community will miss her and thank her for that. And then Weston Middle is also putting on Wizard of Oz Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 6 o'clock. And the Aiken show's at 6:30 if you want to try to catch that tomorrow night. Thank you.
Dr. Gentry, change your mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to give a shout out to Hume Fogg's choir. They traveled to Orlando, Help Me Mary, last week, and to compete among, I think it was 150 other choirs, and they swept it. Yes, they swept it. And my daughter is in concert choir, and they took gold, first place, and first place overall. The Resonance group, which is the boys group, they placed for top honors. And I think the one category in where they came in second, they were only 0.3 of a point away from the group that took first. So big kudos to Hume Fogg's choir and Miss Forbes for all that she does with them.
I have two quick announcements. I got an email this afternoon from a gentleman, Curtis Austin. He wanted to remind me that this is School Nutrition Employee Week, and he wanted to get a shout-out from the board, so got your shout-out. And this is also Teacher Appreciation Week, today being Teacher Appreciation Day, so I want to make sure that we appreciate our teachers. Whenever we gather as a family for a cookout or whatever, my kids always come up with a story of one of their favorite teachers, so we have lots of memorable stories. Ms. Buggs, did you have anything? Any announcements?
No.
No? Okay. All right. It's all yours.
Be there no further business. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay, we're going to take a short break and we have to have the room cleared because we have a student appeal.
I forgot about it.
5 minutes.